I'm Shaira Armea, BSBA 3C, and today we're going to report about Transfer of Training Chapter 5. Transfer of training and knowledge sharing are important for nonprofits. So nonprofit organizations such as UNICEF or the United Nations Children's Fund and the government agencies like the Peace Corps routinely send workers to some of the most dangerous underdeveloped nations in the world. Because of not having much budget for trainings, they rely on temporary and short-term field workers and volunteers. Despite of having difficulties, nonprofit organizations still manage to train their workers successfully so they can be effective in their mission. Transfer of training. It is very important that what is emphasized in the training is used on the job. This means that we should be able to apply the knowledge and skills that we acquire during training. What about knowledge sharing? Knowledge sharing is the valuable knowledge that volunteers have gained about a certain location, people, and the assistance needed is not lost when they leave the organization. For example, consider the online course by Darkness to Light, an international child abuse prevention, education, and public awareness organization. Stewards of Children Online is designed to teach adults how to prevent and recognize signs of sexual abuse in children. The training was developed around universal truths to ensure that the basic principles emphasized in the course would be relevant for everyone, regardless of their culture, socioeconomic background, or location. For example, one of the universal truths is that it is healthy and good for parents to talk to their children about their personal boundaries. UNICEF or the United Nations Children's Fund and government agencies. UNICEF, which provides humanitarian and development assistance to children and mothers in developing countries, uses a blended learning approach. The majority of e-learning programs offered by UNICEF include both CD-ROM and internet formats, which allows trainees without dependable access to the internet to train using personal computers available at their location. Course content is broken into modules so individual regions can easily customize content to local culture and situations. At the Peace Corps, more than 90% of training is conducted by local staff in the field. The Peace Corps trains volunteers in the actual performance situations in which they will be working, based on the belief that skills taught in training better transfer to the work environment. For example, trainees in the Dominican Republic acquire many skills, including technical expertise, medical and security skills, and foreign language proficiency. Trainees are given real-world assignments, such as going into a community to purchase a loaf of bread in order to use what they are learning. Now let's proceed to the model of transfer of training. This model is useful for considering what you can do to ensure that the trainee characteristics, training design, and the work environment are conducive to transfer of training. As the model shows, transfer of training includes both the generalization of training to the job and the maintenance of learned material. So generalization refers to a trainee's ability to apply learned capabilities such as verbal knowledge, motor skills, and etc to on-the-job work problems and situations that are similar but not identical to those problems and situations encountered in the learning environment. Maintenance refers to the process of continuing to use newly acquired capabilities over time. The model shows three factors that influence learning and transfer of training: training design, training characteristics, and the work environment that influence learning, retention, maintenance, and generalization. Training design refers to the characteristics of the learning environment. Another factor that influence learning and retention is training characteri- characteristics. So, it includes ability and motivation. The third factor factor that influence environment includes factors on the job that influence transfer of training, such as manager support, peer support, technology support, and the climate for transfer and the opportunity to use newly acquired capabilities on the job. So now let us discuss more about training design. Training design refers to the factors built into the training program to increase the chances that transfer of training will occur. For transfer of training to occur, managers need to apply transfer of training theories and encourage trainees to take responsibility for learning and to engage in self-management strategies. Application of transfer of training theory. So, three theories of transfer of training have implications for training design. The theory of identical elements, the stimulus generalization approach, and the cognitive theory of transfer. The first theory is the theory of identical elements. So it proposes that transfer of training occurs when what is being learned in the training session is identical to what the trainee has to perform on the job. Transfer will be maximized to the degree that the task, materials, equipment, and other characteristics of the learned environment are similar to those encountered in the work environment. So the picture on the right is an example of this theory. This is a flight simulator used to train airline pilots. It looks exactly like the cockpit of the commercial aircraft. All aspects of the cockpit in the simulator are the same as in a real aircraft. If they learned all the skills needed in the job, including flying, taking off, landing, and dealing with the emergency situations, so that's when they will be transferred to the work setting. The identical elements approach has also been used to develop instruments designed to measure the similarity of jobs. So they conduct training to prepare an employee to perform a different job. Identical elements theory is particularly relevant in making sure that near transfer occurs. Near transfer refers to trainees' ability to apply learned capabilities exactly to the work situation. Programs that emphasize near transfer should include the following training design. So first, the program should teach specific concepts and procedures. Second, trainees should be given an explanation as to any differences between training tasks and work tasks. Third, trainees should be encouraged to focus only on important differences between training task and work task, rather than unimportant differences such as equipment with the same features but a different model. And lastly, behaviors or skills that trainees learn in the program should contribute to effective performance. So for example, in police officer training, new hires practice shooting targets. During practice sessions, cadets fire a round of shells, empty the cartridges into their hands, and dispose the empty cartridges into the nearest garbage can. This process is repeated several times. After graduation from the police academy, one new officer was involved in a shooting. He fired his gun, emptied the cartridges into his hand, and proceeded to look for a garbage can for the empty cartridges. As a result, he was seen by the gunman, shot, and killed. That's why identical elements theory does not encourage transfer where the learning environment and the training environment are not necessarily identical.
Hi, my name is Rizza Mae Araque from BSBA 3C, and today we will tackle about training and development course, and the topic would be transfer of training. Stimulus generalization approach emphasizes constructing training so that the most important features or general principles are taught, thereby maximizing the likelihood of transfer of training. It is necessary to identify the range of work situations to which this general principle need to be applied so that the applicability can be appropriately broad. This approach emphasizes far transfer, which is the trainee's ability to apply learned knowledge, skills, and the behaviors on the job, even though the work's environment does not match to the program, to the training environment. Programs that emphasize for transfer should include these training designs. The program should teach general concepts and broad principles. Trainees should be aware of examples from their experiences that are similar to those emphasized in training so that connections can be made among strategies that had been effective in different situations. The program should emphasize that the general principles might be applied to a greater set of contexts than those presented on the training setting. The key behaviors refer to a set of behaviors that can use successfully in a wide variety of situations. So they can demonstrate this behavior on a video, and trainees have opportunities to practice the behaviors, which is also believed to be applicable to wide variety situations. Cognitive theory of transfer is based on the information processing model and suggests that the likelihood of transfer depends on the trainee's ability to retrieve learned capabilities. The theory suggests making the material meaningful as well as providing the trainee with schemes for coding learned material in memory so that it is easily retrievable. This approach indicates that various potential applications of the training content which should be discussed, making later recall easier. Applications, assignments, or work problems or situations in which trainees are asked to apply training content to solve them. The use of application assignments is training helps the trainee understand the link between the learned capability and the real-world application, which makes it easier to recall the capability when needed. Encourage trainee responsibility and self-management. Trainees need to take responsibility for learning and transfer. This includes preparing for training, being involved and engaged during training, and using training content back on the job. Self-management are attempt on an individual to control certain aspects, his or her decision making and behaviors. Such strategies help to maximize transfer of training. In the context of training, self-management is used to retain and apply new knowledge, skills, and behaviors, and involves these steps. Determining the degree of supportive as well as negative consequences in the work setting for using newly acquired capabilities, setting goals for using learned capabilities, applying learned capabilities to the job, monitoring use to learn capabilities on the job, self-reinforcement. The research shows that the trainees exposed to self-management strategies have higher levels for transfer of training, behavior, and skills than do trainees who are not provided with self-management strategies. Obstacles to self-management trainees includes the lack of support, prefers managers including factors related to the work itself for the work context, time pressures, inadequate equipment, career needs and interests of different generations. Different generations employees or employee cohorts likely have different career needs and interests. Understanding generation, generational differences is important if a company wants to provide the work conditions that will contribute to employee satisfaction and retention of the good employees. As the baby boomers age and eventually retire, there are concerns that they will be discriminated against based on inappropriate stereotypes, that they are unable or unwilling to learn, less productive, and would be preferred to working, as mentioned in Chapter 1. Older workers do have valuable experience and tacit knowledge that companies would be wise to capture and share with the less experienced employees. These obstacles inhibit transfer because they cause lapses. So lapses refer to the trainee using their old, less effective ways of doing work rather than using the new capabilities they have learned. Obstacles may bring on lapses. Trainees should be prepared to cope with the lapses by learning coping skills and self-management techniques at the end of the training session. Trainees should be able to identify the primary causes of lapses so that they can be avoid them. One way to prepare trainees to deal with the obstacles is to provide instructions in self-management techniques at the end of the training program. Here is the table 5 that shows an example of self-management instructions. So the module begins with a discussion of lapses, emphasizing that lapses are not evidence of personal inadequacy. Lapses provide information necessary for improvement. Next, a specific behavior, skill, strategy is target for transfer. The skills should be measurable and countable. Then the obstacles that inhibit transfer of training are identified. These can include both work environment characteristics and personal characteristics, such as low self-efficacy. Trainees are then provided with an overview of coping skills or strategies that can use to deal with these obstacles. These skills and strategies include time management, creating a personal support and network, persons to talk about how to transfer skills to the work setting, and self-monitoring to identify success in transferring skills to the job. Next, to deal with lapses, trainees are instructed to be aware of where the situations most likely to occur. The final part of the modules deals with the use of resources to aid transfer of training. These resources may include communications with the trainer of the fellow trainees with via email as well as discussions with their bosses.
I am Mickey Pinas reporting the continuation of Chapter 5, which is transfer of training, the work environment characteristic influencing transfer of training. So work environment characteristic that influence transfer, several work environment characteristic influence transfer of training, including the climate for transfer, managerial and peer support, opportunity to perform, and technological support. So, what climate for transfer? It refers to trainees' perceptions about the extent to which the work environment support or inhibits the use of new knowledge, skills, and behavior. Factors include manager and peer support, opportunity to use new skills, and consequences for using new skill. So, climate is individual psychological state affected by organizational conditions or sense of the working setting, while transfer climate is the organizational culture which support their employees in transferring the knowledge or skills obtained from training programs into the job settings. So, Table 5.3 shows characteristic of a positive climate for transfer of training. Research has shown that transfer of training climate is significantly related to positive changes in managers' administrative and interpersonal behaviors following training. So, a positive environment that promotes learning transfer provides a strong alignment between the training program and the organization goals, various opportunities to apply new knowledge and skills, positive consequences when new skills are used, and social support from peers and supervisors. So, manager support. So, what is a manager support? It is the degree to which trainees managers first emphasize the importance of attending training programs and second, stress the application of what is learned back on the job. So managers can communicate expectation to trainees as well as provide the encouragement and resources needed to apply training on the job. When a managers encourage participation and training and use of new skills on the job, this is when the transfer is most successful. These factors include peer and manager support along with whether or not a learner is being given the opportunity to use new skills without repercussions. So, the greater the managerial support, the more likely the new capabilities will be performed. So, managers can also facilitate transfer through reinforcement or the use of action plan. So, an action plan, it is a written document that details steps that the trainee and this manager will take to ensure transfer of training content. So, we will be able to discuss action plan later after manager support. So, figure 5.2, managers can provide different levels of support for training activities as illustrated in this figure. So, the greater the level of support, the more likely the transfer of training will occur. Managers should be actively involved in the design and delivery of training program. So, the basic level of support that a manager can do is to provide acceptance and allowing program. And it pays attention to the development of their new staff because part of their incentive plan is based on training and development of the employees. So there are ways of how to gain manager support for training. So first, it is important to provide a brief on the purpose of the program and its relationship to business objectives and strategy. Second, you should have to encourage trainees to bring to the training sessions work problems and situations they face on the job. And third, it is important to share benefits of the course with the managers. And fourth, if possible, use managers as your trainers. So, action plan. So, as I have mentioned a while ago, action plan provides a progress check schedule of when the managers and trainees meet to discuss the progress being made in using learned capabilities on the job. So, action plan identifies the goal and strategies for reaching the goal, and equipment and resources that will provided to enable performance, support from managers and peers, expected to outcomes, progress date listed. So, here is the example of action plans which indicates there the training topic, or you should include the training content or your knowledge, skills, behavior, competencies, etc. And strategies for reaching goal or modifying behavior. What will I do differently? And then strategies for receiving feedback about my progress. So this includes meetings with peers and managers, self-monitoring of progress, customers' reactions. And third, expected result, or where this is the questions where I reach the goal. What will be different? Who will notice the differences? So and so on. And then last, progress day check. And that's all.
Hello everyone, my name is Jeguer Torres, one of the reporters of Group 5, Transfer of Training. Transfer of Training. Transfer of training refers to trainees effectively and continually applying what they learn in training, such as knowledge, skills, behaviors, and cognitive strategies to their jobs. There are work environment characteristics influencing transfer of training. Peer support. Peer support can also enhance the likelihood of transfer training. A support network is a group of two or more trainees who meet and discuss their progress in using new capabilities back on the job, whether it be via face-to-face meetings, email, a newsletter, etc. Success stories as well as obstacles experience can be shared. The opportunities to use learned capabilities or opportunity to perform. It is the extent to which the trainee is provided with or seeks out experience using the new knowledge, skills, or behaviors learned in the training program. Opportunity to perform is influenced by both the work environment and trainee motivation. One way trainees have the opportunity to use learned capabilities is through assigned work experiences that require their use. The trainee's manager usually plays a key role in determining work assignments. Opportunity to perform is also influenced by the degree to which trainees take personal responsibility to actively seek out assignments that allow them to use newly acquired capabilities. Breadth of opportunity refers to the number of trained tasks that are performed on the job. Activity level refers to the frequency with which these tasks are performed. Task type is the difficulty or criticality of the trained task performed on the job. Low levels of opportunity may indicate refresher courses are necessary. The work environment is inhibiting the use of new capabilities. Training content is not important for the individual's job. Technological support. Electronic Performance Support Systems, or EPSS, are computer applications that can provide skills training, information access, and expert advice. They can be used to enhance transfer of training by acting as a needed reference as trainees attempt to apply new knowledge, skills, and behaviors.
Hello classmates, my report is about organizational environment that encourage transfer. First topic is learning the organization. A learning organization has an enhanced capacity to learn, adapt, and change. In a learning organization, training is an integral part of a system designed to create intellectual capital. Essential features of a learning organization include continuous learning among employees, knowledge generation and sharing, critical systematic thinking, a culture in which learning is rewarded, supported, and promoted, encouragement of flexibility and experimentation, and the valuing of employees. In a learning organization, learning occurs at the individual, group, and organizational levels. The learning organization emphasizes knowledge management. Knowledge management refers to the process of enhancing company performance by designing and implementing tools, processes, systems, structures, and cultures to improve the creation, sharing, and use of knowledge. In learning organization is the organization's process of gaining knowledge related to its function and using that knowledge to adapt to a changing environment and increase its efficiency. So my next topic is key features of a learning organization. First is the supportive learning environment. Empl- In supportive learning environment, employees feel safe expressing their thoughts about work, asking questions, disagreeing with managers, or admitting mistakes. Different functional and cultural perspectives are appreciated. Employees are encouraged to take risks, innovate, and explore the untested and unknown, such as trying new processes and developing new products and services. thoughtful review of the company's processes is encouraged. Uh, in this key feature, in this key feature, where the in supportive learning environment, the employees feels free to express their opinion and ideas that they think will help them to perform better regarding their job. The second key features of a learning organization is the learning processes and practices. Under this, knowledge creation, dissemination, sharing, and application are practice. Systems are developed for creating, capturing, and sharing knowledge. The third key features is the managers reinforce learning. Under this, managers actively question and listen to employees, encouraging dialogues and debate. Managers are willing to consider alternative point of view. Time is devoted to problem identification, learning processes and practices, and post-performance audits. Learning is rewarded, promoted, and supported. In this key picture, where the manager considers others' opinions and point of views, the learning or performance is rewarded, promoted, and supported. Knowledge and knowledge management. Knowledge refers to what individuals or teams of employees know how to do. Knowledge is a fact, information, and skills acquired by a person through experience or education, the theoretical or practical understanding of a subject. So, there are two types of knowledge. First is the tacit knowledge. Tacit knowledge refers to personal knowledge based on individual experience and influenced by perceptions and values. In tacit knowledge, ito yung personal knowledge where a person acquired it through experience. So the second knowledge is type of knowledge is explicit knowledge. Explicit knowledge refers to manuals, formulas, and specifications that are described in formal language. So, explicit language knowledge naman, it refers to manuals and formulas given for a specific job. So, there are four modes of knowledge sharing. So, first, socialization, externalization, second, externalization, third, combination, and last, internalization. Socialization involves sharing tacit knowledge by sharing experiences. Knowledge is shared and learning occurs through observation, imitation, and practice. Second is externalization. Involves translating tacit knowledge into explicit knowledge. This takes the form of metaphors, models, concepts, and equations. Third is the combination. It involves systematizing explicit concepts into a knowledge system by analyzing, categorizing, and using information in a new way. Formal courses and seminars convert knowledge in this way. And last, internalization refers to converting explicit knowledge to tacit knowledge. Ito yung kabaliktaran ng externalization. Training methods such as simulations, action learning, and on-the-job experiences are used to create tacit knowledge from explicit knowledge. Knowledge management is the creation and sharing of knowledge. There are a number of ways to encourage knowledge management. So, what is knowledge management? Uh, it is the conscious process of defining, structuring, retaining, and sharing the knowledge and experience of employees within an organization. The main goal of knowledge management is to improve an organization's efficiency and save knowledge within the company. So there are a number of ways to encourage knowledge management. First is use technology and software. For example, Lotus Notes and emails, or create a company intranet so that employees can store and share information. Second, publish directories. Second, pub- publish directories of what employees do, how they can be contacted, and what knowledge they have. Third, develop informational maps that identify where specific knowledge is stored in the company. Fourth, create chief information officer and chief learning officer positions for cataloging and facilitating the exchange of information in the company. Fifth, required employees to give presentation to others employees about what they have learning and training. Six, allow time off from work. Examples, sabbaticals for the purpose of acquiring knowledge. Seven, create an online library of learning resources such as journal, technical manuals, and training opportunities. 8. Design office space to facilitate interaction between employees. And last, there are some companies that have created leadership position to foster continuous learning and knowledge management called chief learning officers. So that's all about my report. Thank you.